Welcome everybody to the One Step at a Time podcast. My name is Adrian Avila, and today I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Dennis and Lupita Ramirez. These two are the ones behind the scenes, typically, not today, but typically behind the scenes on what's going on in the podcast, on the marketing side of the Avica construction side, and dear friends of mine as well. So I said, why not bring them on board? Let's get to know them a little bit more and, put a face to who's actually making the magic happen behind the scenes. So welcome again. Oh, welcome, Dennis, Lupita.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're with us. You're with me, every time we're recording. So
for sure, this is exciting. I am happy to be on this side of the camera for a change. So let's get this going.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting seeing it from this perspective as opposed to behind the camera.
Sure.
So
I'm sorry. I apologize for everybody that I put in front of the camera, but I get it.
Yeah. It's definitely nerve-wracking.
The tables have turned.
Yeah.
And even like before we started, we had a little technical things going on that we had to deal with, and we never had to deal with that before.
Yeah.
But let's give the audience a little bit of background about the two of you. You guys have a very love story too of how you guys became the power couple you guys are.
For sure.
So,
people mistaken thinking that, because we say we met in high school, that we're high school sweethearts, but in a different type of mode because we weren't no cheerleader and football person. We were party people, and it's so funny being in marketing. It's kind of ironic because Dennis started with party flyers, like designing flyers for house parties. So
exactly. So we come into this field of what we're doing now as adults and professionals as something that actually sparked in our high school adolescent years, and it's incredible because at that point in time we were just doing things just to do it. Like, hey friends, let's make parties, let's make money, let's have a fun and good time. So now it's actually our business to do the same thing.
So from hustler to business owners, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
And I think Dennis always just had the knack for helping to have, I guess, brand awareness, because even with the piratas out there, with the CDs that we used to buy, he would look at these music CDs or even the movie CDs, and he'd be like, "What? Why is these discs like the labels are off, the color is off?" And he would reprint them and sell them for more.
There you go.
So people love that. They want to see that upgrade. There you
go.
That's exactly what it's always been.
So we did start very early as far as young parents.
Yeah.
Our oldest is 24 years old.
Man, that's crazy for being only 30 years old, right?
Right?
They're catching up to us.
They're catching up to us now, yeah. I can happily say that I've been mistaken for his big brother a couple of times, which makes me feel really good about my skincare routine.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, always keeping up that skincare.
There you go.
I have one like that.
So we've been together since we were 17 and 18 years old. And now we're heading into our mid-40s, and we're, happily married, business owners, and just, families growing, businesses. I mean, just blessed, man.
Yeah.
Just as a wife, I have to make a correction. I was 16, you were 17.
So
That 1 year counts, because...
Well, good thing we're past the 10-year mark of anything, right?
Right.
No.
It brings a good, especially knowing how the boys have watched us from a young, I had all the energy as a young 20-year-old, 22-year-old I was with all three of them. And then to see them now, I feel like I said, that they caught up to us because now they're asking us, what time are you coming home? And dinner is ready. And where are you guys at? We're working.
Yeah.
Sue and I get the same phone calls all the time. Like, we're out late, and then Leanna will be like, where are you guys at? And she's like, it's past your guys' bedtime. It's like, whoa, hold on. I know I go to bed early, but
who's the parent here?
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's awesome. What are you guys' hobbies?
Karaoke.
I know you guys won't hear it, but Lupita was over here singing Selena over here como una flor, early, just doing mic checks. There we go.
No, craft beer. We're really into it right now. We have a break because we're on a fitness challenge. So we take that to heart to be. I mean, that's how we get our health in check and our youth maintained, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So no beer for 6 weeks, and it's kind of hard because we like to be out there and try new things. So definitely karaoke and beer is on my list.
Yeah,
I don't know what's yours.
yeah. I mean, being social is a good hobby
Oh,
for
for
us. Hosting, whether it's something at our home or at a venue or something, it's a part of it's a business blend, right? With
Yeah.
a personal liking and also something that works well with our business. But honestly, I think for hobby wise, I think fitness. Most people are like, how do you guys work out 5 to 6 days a week and you're still able to operate and do your business? So at this point, I feel like in our fitness journey, it's because we like it.
Yeah.
And that's why I consider it not just part of my life, but also a hobby, something that I like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a love and hate. I do catch myself reading the back of ingredients now, and I'm like, who am I?
Yeah.
But
Welcome to the
I guess-
club.
There you go.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, even up to my water, I'm like, what water is this? And why do I have it in a plastic bottle?
Yeah.
Like, thank you
Yeah.
for this.
It's crazy how our lifestyles begin to change, right? Just with like small little tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I tell everybody, I will not go running. And it's something I see you guys doing. I'm like, man, the police are chasing me. I'm like, you ain't chasing me, just take me, like I ain't running.
White
I
flag,
do want to,
white flag.
I plan to be the runner. I got new shoes, and I'm like, okay. And I tested them out at Disneyland. I mean, I wasn't running at Disneyland, but I wanted to see, what's running shoes all about
Yeah.
and where's the comfort. But tonight is gonna, Thursdays are gonna be the days that we're gonna try to run.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how that works out.
There you go. Are you guys into any like morning routines that you guys like religiously do, or even or like night routines?
Our affirmations in the morning, we like to read those. It's very interesting because we're always a day late on our affirmations. So when we read yesterday's affirmation,
Yeah.
we're like, oh my gosh, it totally went into sync to what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy. So we're not the day of affirmation now. I
Right.
guess we're better at reading the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for
So-
for myself for morning routine, it's really what I'm listening to in the beginning of the day, right? So like say we're getting ready to go to the office and things like that. I used to be like listening to sports talk and things like that. I changed that now because I'm like, okay, I don't want to fill my head with, I don't want to say negativity, but
Well, the
something.
Cowboys are not doing that good. So.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
No, it's something more of like what's gonna set the tone for my day, right?
Right.
Like, so a lot of the sports stuff is more, contracts and this person's doing that, rumors and this and that. So I kind of found myself like, you know what, I want to listen to something a little bit more pleasant in the morning. So I'll put on podcasts and things like that just to get my mind rolling on those positive wavelengths.
I have
Yeah.
definitely this year. I have noticed a lot hearing Dennis what he's listening to, like what podcasts. I don't know the name. Who's the podcast that you're listening to? in the morning?
I forget his name. He's
Well,
I think it's
he-
Adrian Avila.
Yeah, well, that's
definitely Adrian.
so he's
Avila.
on a daily. He's in a different time zone. So,
Yeah.
but in the morning, I'm hearing him, and it's just a change because I never heard him here.
Right.
Like to better his mental health in the morning.
Yeah.
Especially wanting to be positive throughout the day. I get it. Like you want to hear something really good in the morning to get you that. My thing in the morning used to just be like, look in the mirror, and you got this. Giving myself positivity and just saying, why not? Let's do this.
Yep.
And then I walk out and it's a whole new day. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know something great's going to happen.
Yeah.
Greatness always happens on a day to day. That's how I look at it.
I haven't got to the point of bravery that you're in, where you're doing the ice cold.
Oh,
baths,
the cold
plunge.
plunges, the cold plunge.
Oh
But
my gosh.
I'm like, sometimes in the shower I'll put it all cold. I'm like, how the hell does Adrian do this?
No. Turn it back, turn it back.
We're at 44 degrees right now.
Wow.
Right in the water.
Wow.
And I'm not lying to you. Like I think the other day I was in there and I passed barely like a minute and a half, and like my joints were just like, it felt like people were putting nails like into me. I told you, you know what? Fuck this shit. I gotta get off. I gotta get out. I gotta get out. And I was like, no, let me just stay a little longer. But it was like it was not torture, but it was painful. But it was like all the inflammation, I guess.
So what is the goal? Is it like to get colder and colder and
So,
longer?
Typically you want to do like 3 minutes, no more than 5 minutes on a daily basis. This is like for men, right? For women, it's a little different. But for men, it's a daily thing. And what it's doing, so if you shock your body with cold or with heat, but more with cold, they say I'm not a doctor. I haven't done the research on it. But from what I've been hearing from a lot of people is it actually helps regenerate cells, like the good cells, even to the point that brain cells are being regenerated.
Okay.
Right. But I'll tell you, I could attest to the cold plunge because I had a back surgery when I was about 13 years old. And so they touched a lot of my nerves on my tailbone when they removed the tumor. And my back pain has lessened quite a bit, like noticeably, right? And when I don't do it, like if I go days if I haven't done it, because I experiment with my body, right? So I'm like, let me see what happens if I don't do it. Like 2 days after, like I start feeling like it bugging again. And I don't think it's numbing it, but it feels better. I feel more flexible, things like that.
That's awesome. I want to try it, And what's the coldest that you...
44 degrees so far is the coldest I've done.
Wow.
And people have done...
And I mean, I know people go down to like 38 degrees and everything like that. But I mean, eventually I want to get to that point where it's like colder and colder. Eventually I want to go into like a frozen lake and jump in the frozen lake. Like, that's how crazy I am.
I noticed that you're always never cold or something because it'd be cold for us outside and you're like with a t-shirt, like nothing.
Yeah.
So I can picture you out there in Ohio or wherever they have the snowy football games and you're out there with the letters on you. Because
you won't be able to see the letters because of the hair, but you know what? Like, I could shave it in,
That would be a good one.
There you go.
But no, and that's like, but it's a whole like, for like the teachings we've done, like I think Francisco Haro was, he was on here, and he's the one who like kind of like introduced it, and man, it just makes like your day better. Like there's days I've woken up with a headache and I go cold plunge and it's instantly gone. Like after the cold plunge, right? Like it's just weird. Like it sets the tone for your day because that's probably the hardest thing for you to do, and you already accomplished the hardest thing to do already. So what else is there? Like, what else can you do, right? It's like you can conquer the world, I think.
So it's almost like just setting the tone.
Yeah.
Sets
Right?
the tone
Like
for the day.
I'm doing something that most people will not do early in the morning. So what else can you throw at me?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so that's like,
That's
she goes, like, you act like there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, well, because there isn't nothing wrong. Like,
Awesome.
I've conquered what I have to conquer.
Yeah.
Like, this is just all this other, like, little noise is just stuff that I have to deal with. But there's no emotion in it or anything like that because I already dealt with the emotion of going into this damn cold plunge.
Now you're making me want to try it.
I know.
Now you're making me want to try it.
I'm really curious. I want to try it. I mean, why not? I've seen my friends do it in the pool.
Yeah, they do it in the pool.
So I guess right now
enough.
because it's not warmed up yet, so they go in and I don't know. I think if you know Rosalind, she's the one that had done it and she said it was 48 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get down there because it shocks the body, and it just stimulates the mind, right? And so when I'm in there, sometimes I meditate if I can do it. But I do my breath work in there sometimes, right? It just like again, it's just like it's setting me up for the day in a way. And it's just like from the bed, I had to go pee in the morning, and then from there right into the plunge.
Wow.
Like I don't think about it going in. Like I'm just like, okay, like let me go. Sue build like she like prepares herself to go in. I just have to go in and do it. Like if I start thinking about it, I think about it too much, and so nope.
I think that's gonna be me.
Reactive.
I just need to go in.
More reactive.
And no
right?
jumping in, right? Because it's like a super shock.
Well, you can jump in. No, I go into the tub and I sink right on in. Like that's it.
I'm
like,
already cold.
That's it. But it's a very good experience. I mean, I really enjoy it. Even though like there are the moments I can tell you that one day that I felt like everything was hurting, but why was it hurting? And I look back at what I did the day before. Like the day before, I had a couple of drinks, and I think that was the inflammation that was in it. But I get out and I felt better.
Interesting.
It's just it's weird, right?
You gotta get the shock out of you, and then it's like, all right, I'm good now.
It gets the blood flowing, right? And so the first things that get cold are your hands and your feet because your body takes all the warmth to its organs to keep that alive. So you're activating a survival mode.
We're gonna have to try it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You're more than welcome to come to the house and dip in there and see what it feels like.
That's true.
Yeah.
Before we spend on it.
Before you invest on it.
That's true. That's true.
Just try it out. I mean, it's a perfect time. I mean, right now in California here, it's like you still get cold water first thing in the morning too. Out of the shower. So it's definitely something to look at for sure. As you guys started this business together, but I know it wasn't always TCC. It wasn't always TCC when it started, but I know, Dennis, you went back to school for this stuff.
Yeah.
How was that? Especially, you know, having the family already established and going back to school, because a lot of people are afraid to go back to school once they start their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's something that has to be talked about, because a lot of people that could be listening are like, you know what? Like, I want to go back to school, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
You guys did it with how many kids?
Three.
3 kids.
3 small kids.
3 small kids.
Yeah.
One income.
Yeah.
And like, because he had to do his internship. So it was kind of scary. But at the same time, like, the kids were small. We were on WIC. So we're like, we have eggs.
Yeah.
Why not go to school, get it done? Let's see what happens. And here we are.
It was a I always envision it as something that I seen, right? Where I don't know if it was like a flash or something, but I was working at a warehouse and I had a really good job. It was a union, job, and I was like moving up. I was going to be foreman. I was doing all the good things, right? Climbing up the ladder at a very young age. So the security was there, but what wasn't there was my passion, because I was not able to be creative. I wasn't even called by name. I was called by badge number. So it was So it was one of those jobs where
you feel like a prisoner, don't you? At some point, like
well, don't get me wrong. There's people who make a good living out of it, but I think that different individuals have different passions inside of them, right?
Right.
So, based on your decisions along the way, you're able to make those decisions for your path. And sometimes I always bring this back, because if I wouldn't have got the support from my wife, Lupita, I would have probably most likely still been in that warehouse, because I literally felt at that point in my life that I was that young kid. Hey, I want to be a rock star, and everybody was like, "What, dude? Don't worry. Come on, what? Get that out of your head." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of the area where I come from, art and creativity is not really something that we talk about. It's more about using your hands and your back and making that money, and you're the man.
Sweat, blood, and tears, right?
Especially having the kids so young. Both of our parents were more like labor work. You want to be a truck driver? Be a truck driver. They earn a lot of money. It's where the money was, And I was telling him, I don't know if that's for you. I don't think that. And and everybody would tell me like, what are you doing? Let him. He's making money, and I'm like, but he's not happy. Like, who are you? I'm like, well, I'm in this relationship. I need to have a balance somewhere. I don't want him to come home tired and then we don't do anything, or he comes home and we don't have he's just overwhelmed from what happened at work. So I was just like, we don't need that. Like, why not come home, have your 20 minutes rest, come back to earth, and then just be like, okay, work is done. Now let's have dinner. Let's do things. So that's where I planned our future to be. And when I told them, this is your passion, you want to go to school, let's just do it. And what is it? And he told me how many months with no pay. And I was like, oh, I'm like, oh, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay.
But to be honest with you, it was because people ask us, like, how have you guys been able to stay so strong along your journey of a couple and everything, right? And I feel like Lupita and I have had these moments of breakthroughs, and it all started when she shared the news with me that we were gonna have our firstborn, right? I kid you not, I had a sense of happiness, and I was 18 at the time, right? But something inside of me, my body told me this is a good thing. And my friends were like, "Oh my God, bro, you messed up," like and this and that, right? Because we're kids, right?
Yeah.
So the majority of the people around me were like, "Oh man, like you're gonna be a father now, you can't do nothing and this and that." But
really, were you doing?
No, I know,
you're just
but
being traviesos and everything.
Yeah, it's just the perception at that time of our lives, right? But that breakthrough, and that unity that we had at that point. It's kind of like the same thing of taking it back to when we decided as a family, like, why don't I pursue something that I'm passionate for and something that I'm good at, right? So it's the same thing when we decided to go independent. It was based on our unity and our trust for one another that we took that leap. So that's why I think together I always tell her, like, man, we could just keep accomplishing so much more because we've already been through so many things together, and with our own effort and with our own belief in each other, it just gets better and better. So
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're fighting the effects of learning new things and all the obstacles, but I think with our unity, it's what keeps us going.
And that's what actually I think it's having a partner with you that actually supports you is like the number one thing, because at the end of the day, your bullshit is their bullshit, right?
Exactly.
And so when you guys can, bulldoze through that, why not, right?
Yeah.
And that just strengthens what you guys have. I mean, I tell the same thing to Sue, right? It's like, dude, we've gone through the beginning of our relationship was like, oh shit, right? And then it's like she's like, you can walk away now, or you can and it's like, nah, like if we can get through this, like we can get through anything.
For sure.
Right? And so, I mean, that goes for business, life, whatever it is, right, with your partner.
Yeah, and communication is the top number one keyword of all.
Yeah.
If I can tell him, what's wrong now, it won't happen again.
Yeah.
If same vice versa, if he can tell me what's wrong now, we'll avoid it again. And if we're having the same thing over and over, then something didn't fix the first time, so it shouldn't be repetitive, or it shouldn't be held for so long. Well, it's been happening for 5 years. Well, why did you wait 5 years? So yeah.
And it's even crazier because, well, it's even more, not crazy, but I would say it's even more difficult because you guys live together and you guys work together.
Yes.
Yes.
So you guys are around each other almost 24/7.
Yes.
For sure.
Except when you guys go do like separate meetings, right?
Yeah, separate meetings, or when I'm at Disneyland, because that's my passion. And that's my mental health too. Like I go to Disneyland, people are like, "Oh my, how?" Like, trust me, I go. I don't have little kids. So I don't have to worry about having to have strollers or the struggles.
Backpack. Let's go.
And when I see these families with their kids all small, and I'm like, yeah, I've been there. But I'll be helping strangers too. I'm like, I got your kid. Like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm just trying to help because I know how it is, So we try to do the best we can to show like our kids we can get through this, whatever it may be.
Exactly.
And I know one of the boys work with you, right?
Yes,
He's
our youngest.
Your youngest one. He's out there with his drone flying it around.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid is freaking good. When Dennis and I were out in LA, and I just see him just like, and I'm just thinking, like, I'm like, oh shit.
I know. And when we got it, it was like an investment. We were like, okay, we just spent $100 on this, practice with it, but don't play with it. And like the first time his cousin was like, oh, can I nope, you cannot use it. Like, don't touch it. Yeah. But we just said, we're going to start to do a real estate shoot, show us what you can do and do the house, practice with the house. And all of a sudden, like in an hour or two, he sends us a video of him sitting in his room on the floor, and you see this drone going through the house, outside of the house, upstairs. We're like, okay, he's got
Even
this.
the dogs are looking at it.
Exactly.
We're like, what the?
Yeah, and he caught the eye right away. And I think, with what we do, it comes naturally.
Yeah.
Like, because we have the passion to learn about businesses, but we also have the eye of the outside perspective.
Yeah.
So I think he caught on really quick, especially for drone. You don't want to have like a bad aerial for real estate. So he caught that right away. We're like, okay, this kid does it.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, I saw the small snippet that he showed us, and I was like, oh, shoot. He goes, just right now. And I was like, okay. This kid got something.
Adrian's like, can you get Dodger Stadium from here?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, yeah, probably.
It was just a cloudy day out there. Though. In the beautiful sunshine state of California, it's foggy that day that he shows up.
Of course.
I'm like, really?
I'm all the time. And then sometimes we'll leave. We're like, oh, it's a bad weather. And we'll leave, and the sun comes out. We're like, oh. Like, so, yeah.
Could drag them out, right? That's awesome. But, I know going through going through school and everything, like that must have had to put some kind of strain, right? I could hear that sigh that Lupita
I'm like, well, yeah, because I just wanted to make sure he knew he was making the right step for himself.
Yeah. But, what were like the most like difficult times during that time? Because it was a 2-year, it was a 2-year time that you said.
It was about eight, almost a 2 year, 18 months was the whole thing. The difficult time for my part was keeping focused on the end goal. There was many times where because at that point, at a certain point, I had stopped working, but at one point I was working and going to school. So I was doing the 3 hour sleep, going to school, sleeping another 2.5 hours, going to work, graveyard, coming back to school. I was doing that for a long period of it. So I would literally sit in the parking lot sometimes of the school, and I would be like, is this worth it?
Right.
Is this worth? What am I doing? I'm tired. I'm not focused. This and that. And so it was that difficult of within myself of like, man, I'm so overworked right now, and I had a long night with this warehouse manager that's crazy, all that stuff, right? And all these things that are like trying it's testing you. It's testing you, like, how much do you really want this?
Yeah. And I think also too, I'm gonna just toot my own horn, but you lucked out with somebody that's not gonna be like, I know you went to school and you went to work, but can you help me around here? Like, can you because I already had a balance. I knew I had my 9 to 5 too. I went to medical. Same thing. My dad was like, go to school for medical because medical will always be there, so you always have a job. And I was like, okay. I went to medical school and I was administrative assistant and I was really good at what I did, but why I stopped medical was because of the back-to-back pregnancies and seeing these women come in here that couldn't get pregnant. It just was too emotional for me. So I just said, you know what, this is not for me. I have these little kids and I'll just stay home. So with that, making the transition and trying to still work and help him, I was like, okay, I don't want to overwhelm you. Don't overwhelm me. I got the kids. Let's do this combined. If you can help, but if you can't, it's okay. I think they're good. And we did get blessed with 3 amazing boys that, being small, it was 4, 1, and a newborn, right? The 4-year-old would always with his hands closed, just sitting there waiting until I said, come get up. These people would look at me like, are you hitting your kids? And I'm like, I'm not. I don't. He just loves to help. He loves to be there. And then the 1-year-old, for being 1, you would think, oh, he's going to be running around the rest. No, like the 4-year-old would comfort him so well that he would just stay with him. So the newborn so it was kind of easy for me. They made it easy for me. And I don't know, when I was really fun with them, I tired them out to be good when they were good. But, it helped us out with all the things that were going on with him going to school and, being on one income.
Last note on that part for me, when I got to school for the design and graphic art stuff, I was like the best student ever.
He was a pet.
I was like the teacher's pet.
So he would come home and be like, look what I did.
Guys, I can't put it on the fridge.
He did.
Yeah,
He was like, the teacher wanted to put this up for me and this and that. Oh, my goodness.
I was the opposite of what I was in high school.
And it wasn't even a teacher, it was a professor, right?
Exactly.
We're like the teacher.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right? Because, in a high school, middle school, elementary, like I was not your A student, right? Like I was not your A student. I was lucky when I got a D. I was like, do it, right? D's good.
It's not an F.
It's not an F, right? But when I went to college, like I was like on top of my game. Like I was like A's all the way, and people were like, why couldn't you do this? I go, it just wasn't entertaining. It wasn't my language.
I was the same way when I went to medical. I wasn't that great. I was really good at math and science. That's the 2 subjects people were like, oh, no, right? But I really loved it as a kid. But in high school, of course, rebelled and met Dennis and and other things. But when I went back to college, I was like the top student too. I was getting awards and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe it's a second chance. Maybe it's that feeling of wanting to do better for a reason, right? We have a purpose now.
Yeah. And talking about like having a purpose and everything like that. Like, you guys don't hear this podcast once, one time. Like it's in your guys' ears during like editing, especially you, Lupita. You have it like directly into your ears, like when you're, recording everything for us. Like having everybody that's been on the show and everything like that, has that like tweaked with your guys' mindset, brain, or anything like that during these times?
In a positive way, for sure. I mean, hearing the different guests, if that's what you mean, just hearing their stories and how they started, like it's really awesome to know who you're connected with because it makes us feel like, okay, we are connected with the right people. And we've always felt that with you from the beginning, right? Even with Suhei. So hearing who you work with and who you surround yourself with and the motivating things that they've doing with their lives, either with being an author of a book or, even when you had Adrian on here, Adrian Burke, he's an actor, but also he loves the passion of other things. He has his history, his story. So I think that's where everybody has a story. And from us being on the outside perspective of many businesses that have a passionate story of how they started or why they wanted to do this, and why they're so good at it, it's put me into like, okay, this is why I'm here. I've always had these all these hats in retail, food, insurance, and just so many things that I wanted to go up and up and up because I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to know why you would work for me, so I think hearing people that you have had in here, it's been really impactful.
Yeah, I think for me, the as far as the guests that you've had, I like the point where we can all connect as the struggles that we're overcoming together, right? Because regardless the industry that you're in, from what I've gathered in with these guests, hearing your part, hearing their part, also knowing our part, obviously. There's the one thing that we all have in common is that we're risk takers. We're risk takers. We're doing a lot of this stuff, whether we're entrepreneurs or working for somebody that has a business that we're believing in, whatever it may be. Right. We're leading the way with risk, and that's bravery at the same time, right? It's not. It's a calculated risk, obviously, right? Because we're all professionals, but there's that little sense of like, I hope everything's good next month, or I hope everything's good 6 months down the line, and that to me is what's incredible, because you're putting together people who are here to influence, but also who are dealing with their own challenges along the way, and that's the beauty of the struggle, basically.
Yeah, and I look for what I call like the leaders, right? Because the leader has to be able to be the first one to go into battle. I look at, right? And if you can't be the first one to show your people, hey, I'm doing this, therefore you guys want to be part of this.
Exactly.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. And just being part of what this whole McKinley thing is all about, right? And trying to bring in the right people to be part of it. And I know you guys hear these stories, from them, and you guys see the campus and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like I know we're talking about possibly doing some stuff with McKinley with this podcast as well. Maybe on the summer program, bringing them on board and doing the same thing. We have them record maybe us or something like that, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's what is it that, I mean, your boys were blessed that they didn't have to go through some of these struggles here, right? But what is that you guys can see giving back to the community of McKinley?
Well, from the start of meeting McKinley through TEAM, our referral organization, right? I've learned so much, especially knowing what the purpose and the mission here is having the kids. So when we heard how you're volunteering when you came and you made that gym for them, or, the possibilities of volunteering to educate them on having a purpose of what to do. I mean, look at this room. Like, we get to teach them how they can do their own podcast. We can mentor them into wanting to be a creative coach, is what we call ourselves,
Yeah, for sure.
And you never know what you could do. All these influencers out there, just get a phone and you just take a video of what you like, and then they're going to be people that value your opinion, So these kids, I think from what I'm hearing and what I've seen around here, they can go so far with people like us surrounding them, especially bringing in the guests coming in and giving them their time. Because especially like I said, the guests that you have brought in, I could see definite impact for these kids to have if they give their hours to them and learn some new techniques, new tips, know.
Yeah, I think for the perspective that I see with what's going on here in McKinley, is hope. It's hope for kids who are coming in with maybe a loss of hope, right? Maybe their household that has not been able to provide that sense of hope, those role models, right? And a lot of the times in life, that's what could change you from going one way or the other, is seeing examples, right? And that's the beauty of what I see here, and especially with what you're trying to bring here with the community and everything, is that they can learn from people who at some point we were all, I mean there's different struggles that they're going through, right? But we've all overcame something. So for them to hear like there's ways of breaking out of that and becoming who you were meant to be, as far as like, expertise wise or passionate wise, whatever is in your heart, there's hope if you see an example led by other people who are doing it. You know.
No, that's it's. I don't know. When I came to McKinley, like, it just struck not one chord, it struck a few chords, right? And just to be able to bring people here and bring the awareness, people who live a mile away were like, I never knew. I thought this was part of the high school across the street. It's like, nope, it's completely different.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
right? And so I just want to be able to like see how we can transform these kids, right? Because I don't know if tomorrow one of these kids is the kid that cures an incurable disease right now, right? We don't know if this is like the next athlete, right? Because there's been kids that have gone through this program, have came back and adopted through the program.
Oh, wow. That's
so
awesome.
I just heard about that one recently. And so I thought, you know what? Like, what can we do to bring the awareness,
For
right?
sure.
But, I want to thank you guys and everything. But before we go, let them know how they can find you guys, right? Actually put a face to who's behind the scenes and,
Yeah.
Well, Think, Create, and Connect. You Google that, and you're going to find us on our website. You're going to find our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We try to make it consistent because that's what we are about in marketing.
Yeah, I think for us, if you like Lupita said, if you just Google it or if you go straight to Instagram, you'll be able to see some of our work, some of the stuff that we do behind the scenes for people like Adrian, different companies who are trying to level up their marketing, not just on content, but more importantly, strategy. So
Sure.
Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And then also, fun fact about Lupita. She knows the trucker lingo. Right?
I do.
She was telling me how she used to be on CB radio.
So anybody with the reverse camera, that digital stuff, take it off.
Sounds good, you guys. Well, thank you again for being part of this and being behind the scenes and making this be the magic that happens, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. And you guys, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. We'll catch you later.